My favourite book so far this year. Hi. Yes. Hello. Welcome in. We are in the middle of the year. As I'm filming this, it's the end of June. And I have given 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 books 4.5 and above stars. So I'm going to tell you about them. And we're going to start with the obvious ones, which is Long Game and Heated Rivalry. I will never shut up about these books, okay? These books are life, right? I was talking on a friend's Discord the other day to Inez, and she was like, doesn't he like jack off in front of the guy? And I'm like, yeah, but it's not really that toxic. And she's like, it sounds really creepy. I'm like, well, yeah, but the weirdly is not that creepy. It really isn't. That's like, it is in the book and in the show as well. But for some reason, it just doesn't come across as creepy as he's doing. Anyway, to be fair, Shane has literally got a full-on mast at this point at the same time. But it's really cute and it's really, like, sweet. Even though you wouldn't think about it because, like, this is a contemporary romance and it's hockey and it's gay and it's just opens up on the prologue of them banging. You're like, how is that cute and sweet? Well, it is, because it spans over 9 years, and that is the slow burn I live for, okay? I love that slow burn of the will they, won't they, of Shane being scared and just terrified and his autistic self, and Ilya just, one, accepting his autistic self, but also being a little bit like, it'll be fine, we'll do it, it'll be fine, because he's grown up in Russia, and Shane's like, oh, but our careers, it was like, it will be fine, and just the whole thing, and also realizing that actually they care about each other and it's not just fuck buddies that they're doing it for, and it's the forbiddenness of it because the NHL. I love it. And then you have the Long Game, which is literally them after the heated rivalry and of them learning how to be in a relationship and still be in a secret relationship because the NHL, but also coming out to some people and how that's helping, and how honestly Ilya depression broke me in this book, which is why I have been rereading this for such a long time. But I've been rereading it slowly because Ilya's depression literally breaks me down every single time, because yes, it does deal with themes of depression and of him he lost his mum when he was a kid, and all of that trauma coming up, and also being in Russia and everything that happened in this book because he lost his dad and his dad was an ass. There's so much happened, and then this book just there is some critique over how the coming out scene in this. Totally valid. Honestly, I still love it though. I still love it. And then there was the sequel, Sisters of the Lizard by Jackson Ford. I read The Bone Raiders December last year. I had such a good time. Honest to God, this is one of the books that you're just like sitting there and you're there for a fun time, right? It's lesbian raiders learning to ride fire-breathing lizards as their new mounts, okay? Then you have Sister of the Lizard, which picks up from the end of that book. I'm not going to say what happens, but it really delves into more of the betrayals that might have happened in that book, and the character moments that you saw building in that book to coming into this book, and how the tension's really racked up and what's happening and the world, and it's winter and there's more things he's added into the pot that he's mixing. That makes me really excited for book 3. But also, do beware, this is going to make you cry. I finished this book and I messaged Jackson Ford and I went, how fucking dare you? And he went, ha, and I went, dude, no, how you did that? You made that decision? No, worst thing. But I loved it. I had such a good time. Honestly, one of the best times I've ever had reading a book. I can't tell you much more about it because it's a sequel, but it's a good time. It's a good time, and it's fun, and I love it. And I'm pretty sure he's just finished the draft of book 3 now. So whatever I need to do to get hold of book 3, I will do that. The Sky on Fire. This is the Inkstone editions. I've read, to be fair, Ruin of Kings twice by Jen Lyon. The second time I had forgotten I'd read it, so I reread it again as a buddy read, and on that point I was like, I know why I forgot I read it, because I needed to physically read this book and not do audiobook, and I did the audio anyway. It's a whole fucking thing. So I was a little bit hesitant on Jen Lyon. But then I saw the Inkstone edition, I was like, I'm gonna have to grab it, it looks so nice, and I read it, loved it. I did the audiobook for this one as well, and absolutely fell head over heels. It's queer normative, and the dragons basically are the top of the hierarchy, okay? And within this hierarchy you have the dragon riders kind of society people, they don't really call them dragon riders, but anyway, the dragons choose them, and they have no choice in the matter. And for the way things to work. There's like an imbalance of magic system between the two, where I think the dragon takes more from the humans than the other way around. But the main premise of this book is there's the main character who was accused of stealing something from one of the queen dragons. And she was thought dead, but it turns out she's not dead. Somebody knows she's not dead. And they're like, you need to find this person. She needs to then actually learn, because we need to use her expertise, because we want to steal something from this said dragon. But the trouble is, the main character never actually did it. So you've employed her on this heist, but she never did it in the first place. And it's a lot more in depth than that. I love the character moments. Like, a lot of this book in the beginning is the main character trying to run away from what she's been dragged into unwillingly, which I really liked how they, like, Jen Lyons really sat down with this character and went, this is what this character is going to decide, and this is how it's going to act out, and it's still going to fail. And I really liked how she did that, because it also opened up a lot of the world and how things were, like, expanded the horizons of what you had seen so far in the beginning. And then you really got to know this character as well, from her running away from what she's been dragged into unwillingly. And from there you understood her a bit more, so then the decisions she made later on made a lot more sense. You learned more about the magic system and what the society thinks of this character as well, because of how everybody picks up dragon riders and the magic system around dragons, because dragons can go, that was it, dragons can go mentally insane. And to stop that, they used dragon riders. It touches a lot on that subject in this book. It's the characters were just incredible. I loved it. It is a standalone. And then there was also queer normative relationship in this world as well, which I love. The Red Winter by Cameron Sullivan. I had an arc of this for ages, and all of my friends were like, you need to read, you're gonna love it, I was like, yeah. Didn't pick it up for ages. Picked it up and went, fuck me, you were right, I loved it. So much I bought the Inkstone edition, and I wanted the Inkstone edition purely because of what is under the cover. And I am not going to tell you what it is, but if you see it, you know, okay? Also, look at that cover art, stunning. So this is a retelling, reimagining on the Beast of Gudvann, and we are following Professor Sebastian Grave in 1785, and there's a lot of supernaturalness around just the world, okay? So it's like going back to the nitty-gritty of vampires, werewolves, succubuses, demons, that kind of thing. So our main character Sebastian is called back into his ex-lover's life because his son has come in search of Sebastian to find out what's happening with the Beast of Gudvann again, because previously he had helped the Lord person discover and destroy the beast. And that's kind of what's happening. That's the premise of the book. But Sebastian also has a little demon on his shoulder called Samadel. Love him. I do love him. And I like, there's a couple of interludes through this that breaks up and gives you a little bit of an inkling on who Sebastian is as well as character and before, and then as you're going through this book and through this mystery, you're finding out what happened between Sebastian and the Lord and how that fell apart, and it's just so deeply moving as well as addictive, and the mystery aspect of it and the atmosphere and the world and the setting it's set in is just divine. I loved it. I read it in a day. Talking of gay, Prince Weaver by Ellen J. Morgan. My friend she mentioned it and I went, yes. And then I got an arc of Prince Weaver and I read this so quickly. This took over my life. If you want to really see me derail, I have 2 vlogs. One is a hike with vlog on my channel where I just derail completely reading this book. This possessed me. I have never felt such yearning as the 2 characters in this book yearn. Such yearning. And also the kind of Jane Eyre way of the touching and how proper. So you have Meleer, who is Joseva's brother from a mistake that he made, is basically in a marriage of convenience with Prince Ossian. And Ossian is put together proper, okay? Not a crack in his armour, very full of manners, right? And as you watch the 2 slowly get closer together with each other, because Ossian wants to, from our understanding at the beginning of the book, Ossian obviously is having a secret and he's wanting to help Meleer for some reasons that Meleer does not know. And you're seeing Meleer break away at Ossian's armor, and it's Ossian. It's how you see Ossian, even though it's through Melee's eyes, but us as a reader, you're looking at the page, you're looking at this, and there's 2 or 3 chapters from Osha's point of view as well that reinforces this. But you're sitting there and you are looking at the yearning and the cracking and the Ossian wants, but he's denying himself, or he's not feeling like Melee will replicate, or he's wanting to protect Melee so much and respecting Melee's choices and everything that he's literally dying inside. I lost my mind, fully lost my mind. And then you add the fact that Melee has a forbidden magic that Ossian's father spent his whole life eradicating and destroying, because who doesn't love a bit of genocide? There's murders that have been killed with this particular magic, and Melee is from the place and the people who have this magic. Not all of Melee's people have this magic, but they definitely come from that place. Very Welsh inspired, okay? And you add that tension, and seeing Melee like break down a couple of times, and Ossian come for him, and Ossian doing everything to protect him, and I'm like, oh my god, and just the yearning. I mean, look at that and tell me they are not yearning for each other. I have never read Yearning done better than this. This, honestly, the top book of the year for me. The top book. Nothing's topped it. I'm sorry, nothing has topped it. I don't know if anything will top it, the way I'm obsessed with this book. I read Race the Sands, which I was really surprised how much I enjoyed that, considering I read that in the middle of my heated rivalry obsession. I'm still obsessed, but I'm not watching it every day as I used to. It blew me away. Another standalone. So it's very like Middle East inspired, shall we say. And you have these Keyhawks, and these Keyhawks is what people believe that if you've done something really bad, you're reborn as a Keyhawk, okay? And there is these trainers who train people to ride these Keyhawks who will literally murder you and kill you. On these races, and if you win one of these races, they say if you win a race on the Keyhawk wins the race, it then frees them from that prison of, you know, you can be reborn as something else, something better. And so you have the trainer who's trying to train, who needs the money and all of this to help her daughter, who is to basically keep in contact with her daughter, because she is a aura, and when you show that ability, they tend to take the kids and say you don't see them again until but to see them you pay them money. So that's kind of what she needs the money for, why she needs to win a race. Then you have the rider who is running away from a really bad family situation and is needing this for herself and the willingness to win, so she's not trapped in a bad situation. And then there's another POV which is from the palace, because the emperor died, and when the emperor died, you can't elect a new emperor or move any soldiers or make any big decisions until you found where the emperor has been reincarnated as. And so you're following this little priest person who is trying to find who they've been reincarnated as. Well, also there's a potential invading army coming to the borders, and everybody's like, we cannot make any decisions until an emperor, but we haven't found the emperor, so we can't elect a new emperor, because that's a stupid decision, political rule that everybody was making. But anyway, that's the premise of the book, and it really shocked me. I really loved all of the characters. I love the world. I love learning more about the Keyhawks and the past of the characters as well, especially the trainer, and how her family dynamic worked as well. But even the priest, it really, having that glimpse into that person was just so fascinating. Even though we only saw him in snips and drabs, it still really took up the page time, and then it has everything as the story and the plot progresses and the characters evolve, and you're coming to the end, and I was just hooked. I remember sitting there, I was reading on my phone, because it was a library hold, and I was reading on my phone, and I remember sitting bolt upright going, no fucking way. I was like, and then I just sat up and read like in the middle of the night. I could not put it down. Loved it. Another one I enjoyed a lot, but I would say probably the least out of all of these, was The Eye of the Bedlam Bride, which is Dungeon Crawler Carl 6, I think, 5 or 6. I have been in a love-hate relationship with Dungeon Crawler Carl since I first read it. I read it expecting to hate it. Turned out I had a good time. Okay, I read it at the right time. Dungeon Crawler Carl is where I need a brain off book just to enjoy popcorn fantasy, kind of how you'd approach cozy fantasy. That's how I approach Dungeon Crawler Carl. I've got to be in the right mood for it. And I really liked it, because I read, I think it was the Book of Masquerade before, and it was entertaining, and then the ending really got me. But then The Eye of the Bedlam Bride really delved what I like in a lot of books, and it delved into a lot of the emotional motivations and the emotional trauma and connections with all the characters. That is what I loved. Also Samantha. I love Samantha. I know that sounds bad because she's literally a sex doll but just a head, but there's something about Samantha and her making all of these dirty jokes at all of this, and just like, I don't know, I feel like it's a front. She's so complicated, and yet I love her because she's also problematic. But she's one of my favourite characters. I don't know what to say. I love her more than Donut. So I'm not going to say much more about Dungeon Crawler Carl because you've either heard of Dungeon Crawler Carl, or you're reading Dungeon Crawler Carl, or you don't like Dungeon Crawler Carl, okay? But, which is honestly fair. But I honestly was surprised how much I liked it, because up until that point, Dungeon Crawler Carl had been an entertaining read, but nothing I'd go back and reread, and nothing that I would think would go into this level of emotional depth. But it did, and I had fun. So that is my favourite books I've read so far this year. There's going to be some more, most likely. I've had a good reading year thus far, and I hope I'm going to continue having a good reading year. But on that note, let me know what are some of your favourite books that you've read down below this year, or just your favourite book, wherever. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Bye.